to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, thanks. Welcome, everybody. I mean, we didn't expect it. Love big crowds. I love them. I just love them. So, all right, we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing on the agenda is the public comment. If anybody had public comment this evening? Is this for the dog stuff? Okay, we got that on the agenda. Can we kind of just?
Yeah, we'll wait on that.
We'll kind of push that back a little bit, if that's okay. Any other public comment? Not seeing any. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have the police chief report, and Mark Morrison is going to give an update on some things that were going on in our community. So, Mr. Morrison.
Yeah, I was just going to take a few minutes to address the flyers that were placed on the downtown businesses. Again, I can't give much information into this as it's currently in the court process, but on August 13th, 2024, the Hampton Police Department took a report of several Hispanic-owned businesses that received harassing anti-immigration flyers on their doors. The flyers were placed on pre-targeted locations of Hispanic-owned businesses. On August 15th, the Hampton Police Department executed a search warrant at 321 North Federal Street in Hampton. As a result of the search warrant and investigation, Daniel Allen Embry was arrested on 8 counts of harassment and trespass with the intent to commit a hate crime. The Hampton Police Department does not tolerate any form of harassment, and we would like to thank the community and all those who cooperated in the investigation. We will continue to work with this with the Franklin County Attorney. So,
All right.
that's what I can share today.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Great
update.
job.
Appreciate it. All right, next item, we have the nuisance update. Either one, who wants to go first?
Nuisance update, I just got a few things to add. We had 18 nuisance notices go out since the first of this month. We have 2 municipal citations served last week. We have 5 municipal citations pending service. We have 2 court order cleanups, one at 604 4th Street, Northeast Hampton, and one at 506 1st Street, Northeast, also in Hampton. Both of those will be working with the Public Works Director on getting lined up for cleanup. We have several other cases pending in court. So, and then I think he has some updates too, unless there's questions, but maybe we'll see what he has to say and then any
All right.
Thank you. We talked about some properties and some addresses, trying to get a little more information out for you guys. Got to get our spreadsheet updated. Kelsey and I are working on that, but in the meantime, we won in court regarding the property at 503 and 504 3rd Street Southwest. Property owner was given a deadline of September 14th for garage demo and garage repair and or demo. One in court with 450 10th Avenue Northeast. Property owner had abated the nuisance. However, they did pay their court cost and fees of $160. 202 3rd Avenue Northeast, 25 6th Street Southwest, 321 5th Street Southwest, 120 1st Avenue Northeast, all in litigation and under 657B. We're working on that. Law firms working on those. 319 2nd Avenue Southwest has been abated as well. It has been inspected and condemned. Property owner advised they will likely sell. That's a blighted house is what that is, but it's a very small house. So, but anyway, working with the property owners on that. 315 5th Street Southwest, litigation. Court continued to 9/19 of 24. That's an accessory structure that has not been completed. Property owner has made some repairs, so we'll see where that goes. 102 2nd Street Southeast, abated by property owner prior to citation. Garage was demoed, so that's good. 13 4th Street Southeast, abated by property owner. That was a garage, and that was prior to a municipal infraction, so that's good. That means they just did that on their own. 319 3rd Avenue Southwest, notice was ignored. Municipal infraction is in the process of being served by the police department. That is a blighted structure. 219 2nd Avenue Southeast, notice went ignored. Municipal infraction also in the process of being served, and that's a blighted accessory structure. 457 10th Avenue Northeast, notice was served, partial work completed. The remainder of the work has been ignored for quite a few weeks. No communication whatsoever, so a municipal infraction has been processed and waiting to be served by the police department. That's a blighted house structure. 128th Street Southeast, notice was served, property owner communicated and abated. They put up a new retaining wall. That was very great of them, however, and they did the right thing. I'm sure that was pretty expensive, but they did do it. And it was great to get to know that property owner through this process, because they had a lot of great comments about the city and some different things of that nature. So they're fairly new to the community. 10 3rd Avenue Southeast, notice served. That was abated by the property owner. Their soffit and fascia got repaired. That was in a pretty bad state. And there's a handful of others that are out there. Let's see. 319 4th Avenue Northwest. I want to talk about that briefly for a moment. That's a property that had basically prior notices had been previously served to that property owner. Municipal infraction, they paid the fine. Nothing ever became of that after that, really. The house remained kind of not very well maintained due to some hardship, I think, by the property owners. Previous owners were pretty indigent with no means to maintain. Provided them plenty of grant information with no action. Discussions with a ministerial association, nothing really became of that. Discussions with the Veterans Administration, I believe there was some funds that helped assist them with maybe a furnace. Discussions with Community Resource also provided some assistance, I believe, with some funding for them, but nothing for really the exterior of the property. The property has been recently foreclosed on, and I think we hired one of those property owners as a part-time seasonal position here to try to help them along with some things, and it just didn't work out well. Recent discussions with the bank that foreclosed on this property have went well. They are working with a neighbor right now for a potential sale and demolition. This has been a house that's kind of been a nagging problem for a number of years, but I think it goes to show that we go to a lot of effort before we, get to that court level on certain things. We really do try to help people. We're not here to just, tear everything down by any means. So, and then we've talked about this house, 615 6th Street Southwest. There was a notice served on that. They're getting close to deadlines here this fall. However, I have been in communication with the property owner. He's cleaned out a lot of the house. However, he was waiting to get the well capped. That house actually had a well, and it's taken a while before they got somebody there to get that capped for them. So, and that happened this last week. So they're moving forward. They're hoping to have the demolition done here in the next few weeks. Other than that, I'll entertain any questions or concerns.
I have a
Eric?
question, and this isn't a nuisance at all, but I am concerned about the buildup of the hill that the guy is doing on 2nd Avenue, or is it 3rd? 3rd Avenue, northeast, and 1st Street northeast, that corner lot there.
Okay.
I'm just concerned, being to live on the creek, have we done any studies? Is that going to interfere with the flood zone?
That is all. I sent that property owner to the DNR for him to have his own discussions with the DNR about that. The DNR are the ones that regulate that, anything in the creek bank areas and the floodplains. So I was actually able to put him in touch with the DNR and help him along there. I believe he'd like to build a house there someday, but that's just what I've been told, so. But as far as how he's doing that, that's between him and the DNR.
Okay.
The other thing you have to be on site, on the establish where that stop. So it would be.
Right. All my neighbors are sure excited about it.
Yeah, I'll bet they are.
I think he's talked to the Army Corps of Engineers also.
That's even better.
Yep.
Yep,
When you get your spreadsheet on that, can you send that to all of us?
absolutely.
The other day I posted the 657Bs on my Facebook page. And I don't expect Hampton to be a homeowners association by any means, but the amount of complaints that we get about this house looks bad or this property looks run down, it's time we get stuff fixed up. Make this town proud again of a few things. And I think that this is a good start. So many people ask me on these 657, what this 657 is it takes away the liens and the debt from the property. So somebody says, well, you own the property, why don't you just sell it for $1? Well, selling it for $1 would be fine, but then you acquire all the liens to it. You might be $25,000 worth of liens with it. You don't want to do that. So this gets us lien free so we can tear down or rehabilitate or whatever the property and do that ourselves.
Then we would need to put those up, at some point, we may decide to get rid of those, and when we do that, we have to, by law, fair market value, not just $1 anymore. Those days are over.
And a couple of those houses still might be salvageable, like the one on Third Avenue, my neighbor-in-law down the street, so.
Yep, absolutely.
Any other questions for Mr. Tor? I think it goes a long ways it's to see what's actually happening with Chief Morrison and Doug, where they work tirelessly on this stuff, and we're always looking at the properties. So, there's the perception out sometimes is, that we're really not doing anything. It's just sitting there. Well, it is. Stuff is happening, and we're trying to get it, and it's kind of like getting the Titanic to turn, it takes a little bit at a time. So once we get, things moving, some things got to go to court, we got to leave them and let that handled that way. So I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. I know it takes a lot of hours out of your days on some days, but we're doing the best we can to get things cleaned up, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right,
There you-
thank you. Next item up, Katie Flint and Ryan Peterson. This is for the food pantry sidewalk discussion. So just state your name and just give us that information.
Katie Flint, I'm the Franklin County Auditor.
All right.
Brian Peterson, I'm the Facilities Director for Franklin County.
Do you want us to give a recap?
So, yeah, kind of, have there anything you guys have done since then? Have you guys talked to any of the neighbors? I know that came up.
Yeah, I talked to two of the neighbors that I caught this week, and they were both fine with the sidewalks being removed, especially the one to the east, where they didn't have sidewalk there for themselves either, that it didn't make much sense to them to have ours be there leading to nothing. I talked to another one who had children in the area. They weren't concerned about not having sidewalks there either.
So I'm guessing that the sidewalk was placed there when it was the church. And so you could get in and out of the building. So any comments from the council? Has anybody?
I
got
have some
anything?
comments.
Okay.
It just bothered me, removing the sidewalk. It just didn't seem quite to sit right. So I did, believe it or not, I did some research on these sidewalks and the importance of sidewalks to the community, and there's really a lot of information out there. And I just want to recap what I did find. First and foremost, it does increase the property value to have a sidewalk. It increases the personal property value, and it also increases the value of the city. It enhances connectivity. It benefits health. They have found that 47% of the residents that have sidewalks are more likely to be more active during the day with the sidewalk. Very important for people like my mother. She's never driven a day in her life. She's 92 years old. She walks everywhere. And if she doesn't have sidewalks, she's going to have to walk in the street. And lo and behold, I have found that pedestrian fatalities are increasing. So how are we protecting our pedestrians when they don't have a sidewalk to go on? They are the single most critical piece of infrastructure in communities. And having safe, healthy streets increases a city's competitiveness. And a key component to this is to having sidewalks, which increases value, again, of the property in the city. So it just doesn't feel right to tear a sidewalk out. I can see repairing it, and I think it can be repaired, and replacing it if it must be, but I just don't feel good tearing the sidewalk out. We really should be working on all of our sidewalks and improving our sidewalks. We have a lot of bad sidewalks in the city, we really do. And I don't know, it just makes the city makes it look more accessible, more welcoming when we have sidewalks in place for people to utilize. That's my pitch.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
I think it's a liability if you don't have a sidewalk there. If someone falls down in the winter, walking in the street, are they gonna use that as an excuse why they fell down? It's basically being run as a business, you know. We made Dollar Tree put a sidewalk in front of their business. We just put 700 feet of sidewalk to Dollar Fresh. First Street Northeast, 600 block, we're doing a block of sidewalk there for 2 empty lots. If you take that sidewalk out, you got sidewalk in the middle, and the owners just can't say, well, I want my sidewalk taken out. It's gotta be a council decision. Well, if we start doing that, I wanna take my sidewalk out. I'm getting older, I don't want to shovel. We had, some people that wanted theirs taken out, they took them out, and we told them to put them back in, so I agree with Jerry, it's a community betterment if you have a sidewalk.
Our, on the projects that we did, to Dollar Fresh and to, First Street and Sixth Avenue, those were done in-house. We saved a lot of money, by doing those ourselves. And that was, you know, one of those houses, or one of those properties is supposed to be the Habitat for Humanity house, if we'd ever get anybody to get that lot. One other thing I'd like to add after the sidewalks get fixed up is take some sort of a grinder and go over that yellow spot you've got where there's a shift and get that leveled out just a little bit, so there's just a little bit of a grade instead of somebody that could catch a cane or a walker or whatever and trip over it. I could look at it and trip over it. So, I'd like to see that.
Just so you know, the yellow was actually just recently added
Right.
to bring it to people's attention in the meantime until we knew what we were doing.
Sure, yeah. But anyway, that's,
Our goal is to not have to have the yellow
right,
once
right.
the project is done, if that's.
but I
the
really
route.
don't think, you know, I went up there the other day and took pictures of it. I don't think there's too many squares that you'd actually have to replace, 4, 5, 6 squares. Or you could put in a new sidewalk, that's additional cost, but, you know, I would think that we still need the sidewalk there.
Anybody else?
I went up and looked at it, and I agree with what's been said.
I also went out and looked at it, and what I looked at, and I agree, I think we agree that we need the sidewalk there too, because people use it. We don't have one going to the south at the corner. Do we need to add one? Probably not. It's already there. But when I looked at the ones, this one here, this one comes up to nowhere. You're not using that building or that door or this one. In my opinion, them could probably come out. They're not serving a person. We want this one to walk on, we want this one to walk on. No, so do we need this and that one and that one? That's just up for discussion. Any thoughts? And I think the only the two under the parking right of way area are the two that come to the street. These two up here, that's on the property, so that could be done. I'm supposing by you guys. Any thoughts on that? Anybody?
Those two that don't go anywhere, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, as opposed to replacing them again, if they need replacing. That's a thought, but it sounds like the session of the council is to leave the public sideways in place, so that it can be used. I don't know how many people use that, but I'm guessing somebody probably does. I don't know, it's gone down there and sat and watched and see how many people drive up there. As you get to your end of your property, of course, you're gonna cross the street to the other sidewalk anyway, but at that point, there's an option.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add what's already been said.
Right, and if they ever sell the building, and they take all the sidewalk out and they sell the building, well, the next occupants may want a sidewalk there, they're gonna have to put it in anyway, so.
Right.
Just fix it or repair it or replace it, whatever's gotta be done to make it walkable.
So at this point, if we're we're not gonna vote to take out the sidewalk, so it would need to be referred at this point,
Okay.
so,
Thank you guys
All
very
right.
much for your time.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the Bandshell Archway and Bench.
I am Madison Allert with Franklin REC.
I'm Garrett Thompson.
All right,
Jim recently approached the REC regarding the two archways on the north side of Bandshell. Last year for Light Up the Night, we had asked to place those 6 archways up there at the park, and we coordinated with Doug and Bill in the city on getting those all in. And it was brought to our attention of if we're going to make them permanent, how to make them permanent, safe, all of that possible removal of guy wire. After consulting with a couple of people in office for us, it sounds like it would be doable to an extent of we would more than likely I understood is that we would have to cut off the ends that are in the brackets, or we would have to take off the top part and then take the poles out themselves to be able to place them. With the existing ones, what we run into is the issue of keeping them level as they settle with the cement for us. So I guess, what do you guys have question-wise for us on it? I know we talked getting a hold of other communities, seeing if we can integrate them into like the year, if other clubs want to decorate them throughout the year. Bill stopped by the office the other day, and I kind of picked his brain on it too. He made a good point of if we keep letting people, well, this club wants to hammer here or nail here, what happens to the integrity of the arch itself for us if everybody's going to keep changing or keep ripping out staples and that sort of stuff too for us.
so you're gonna leave the arches, and you want to put 2 more up, or?
That was our plan, was to leave the arches and then install another 2 sets down on the south archways to match the north sets.
So as far as concerning the guy wires, couldn't you put a push guy on the inside instead of having guy wires on the outside?
What do you mean by the inside?
Inside the,
In between the arches? Is that what-
inside this, yeah.
In between them? Could, I still don't think those would stand up very well under a good windstorm. I think they would snap at the base.
So it sounds like the alternative would be to base it in, or put those posts in concrete. But then you say you're not sure that that's gonna stay there either because it's gonna go down.
Right,
trying
and
to
how it
follow
would
it.
settle with how level it would be. I know that's why it looks a little wonky on the ends. With some stakes are sitting higher, that's because the crew worked off of the top to make it level, so then all of the arches look the same. I guess some other ideas we had were doing the sleeve, possibly getting a metal sleeve to be able to set it into. We just worked with the conservation on installing park benches, and that's what they utilized, were sleeves to cement the benches into their cement.
So are those posts below the frost line?
The ones that are up now in the park,
Yeah.
that's all above ground.
Oh, so it's just setting on the ground.
Well, so we've got like kind of anchors that cement into the ground. So we got them, I don't know, probably 18 inches, 2 feet below the ground. Then you just screw them into the posts right
Okay.
above ground. That's how it's set up now. So yeah, we talked about cementing them in, but then you're gonna lose height too, so it's gonna drop the top of those way down. Yeah, we talked about the sleeves, or it's something maybe we just put up, if you guys are okay with it, during light up tonight, and then just take them down after light up tonight. That's another option too.
Yeah. Mr. Bill, did you have some information?
So I guess I was the one that came to the council after talking with them on leaving there, because I do think they add a lot to the Band Shell Park.
Yep.
And doing 2 more would finish it off completely. And the only thing I can think of, because of what they're saying with the winds and everything that are happening, is if you want to do something, you could put wood on the ends where the guide wires are as your supports. And that would get rid of the guide wires. It'd be another piece of wood there, and it'd look probably more like a bridge structure, I guess, if you will, instead of quote-unquote an arch. That's the only thing that I came up with, and from talking to some other people in my position around the state, most of them, if they're not cemented in to begin with, it's hard to go back because you're basically rebuilding the structure. I guess other than that, I'm not sure, but I do think they add a lot to the park. I really don't want to get rid of them. I don't want to, you know, and far as decorating, we could decorate them, but I do think we would, in a matter of 2 to 3 years, we'd have a lot of integrity issues with the wood, and there'd be staples that weren't pulled out by somebody, or this was left behind, or something on that lines. And as far as putting flowers on them, that was brought up as well, putting some brackets up for flowers. I got 32 flowers in town, I can't get anybody to water. So, I don't know, adding 16 more would be feasible.
I guess I don't want it to come off as we are ungrateful, because this looks fantastic. It's beautified the park. It's really lit up the night, you might say. And it's just been so great. We just want a way to make sure they don't come unsecured and blown away or float away or whatever. But I think it's a fantastic thing, and it really adds a lot to the park, and we sure are appreciative of Franklin County REC for it.
I think they look great also, and adding 2 more is just complete it.
One of the reasons I brought it up, that if we're going to be building 2 more, that we should maybe, if there are any issues or concerns, we should get those decided before you build 2 more. But I think they're great, and appreciate everything you do too.
If you use the metal sleeves, would you have to have guide wires? Would those be enough to,
Yeah, but if we can get them tall enough, up the pole, it should.
Yeah, I think we had some wind this summer, and we've withstood that, and it's still standing. It looks pretty square. I mean, from where I'm driving, right when I drive by. But I think my only concern would have been the wires. I just want to make sure that we don't have somebody that's can trip on them and cause an injury or something like that. But I think, I'm all for two more. I mean, I think they'll be utilized in the park, for events and stuff like that. So, I think if council's good, we're good with two more. Yeah.
Yeah.
but how are we going to, before we move forward with, yeah, I'm good with it, what are we going to do about the support? Are you going to use the metal sleeves? Are you going to use the boards coming up? Or, I want to know the final plan.
Have you talked to a contractor at all to see if they might have some ideas for you, like, any of the local construction professionals?
We have not yet. I know we mentioned talking to Ryan about the settling of this, Ryan Card, sorry, for the settling of the cement, how it would settle for us. But yeah, we can definitely get a hold of contractor, someone that's more their forte than.
Yeah. And maybe just give us another idea of, as far as securing the structure. Like I said, they didn't go anywhere this year, but it's Iowa.
Doug wants to say something. But Doug, come up to the
Doug,
podium.
Mr. Tar?
I've looked at them as well. I think a pure footing, a frost footing underneath the post would probably be, you wouldn't have to lop your post off. You just have to remove it, and each place that a post sits, put a small pure footing at frost level. Would he keep it from, moving as much? And I think you could probably go as small as a 6 or an 8-inch pure footing to put those on. Might help eliminate that, but you might have to do just a little bit of cross brace stabilization up top, but not a whole lot. But that frost footing would be plenty, I would think, for those on each post. So, and sono tubes, and I think you guys got the diggers, right, to bore a little bit. So I think we could work it out, but I'd be more than happy to work with them on a design.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
I think that what they have right now is fine. They haven't had any wind.
Right.
They got, how many linemen you got? 12 linemen? They know how to build something. You don't need to go to a contractor.
So I guess,
You're member owned. You can't just squander money on everything.
right,
So,
I guess, so it's your guys' preference it stays up year round, or do you only want it up?
Can this public comment?
I'm not good at this public speaking, but I agree that the trestles look really nice in the park, but I'm also concerned
state
about.
your name for us,
Oh,
please.
Marlene Tapp. I'm
We know
sorry.
who we are, but-
Okay, most of you know who I am. My name's Marlene Tapp. My concern is the maintenance part of the deal. The trellises are very nice, but when you're in a Bobcat in the wintertime and you're moving that snow, you do not have much room. I worked for the city for 20-some years, and I did that up there for many years whenever they started putting up there. When you have a lot of snow, more than like 2 inches, and you have to wing that snow back, you have no place to wing it. If you get ice underneath your Bobcat when you're moving it, you don't want to hit them. You have to be very careful. There's not much clearance also with, there's a light on top of the Bobcat that you got to be really careful when you're going underneath it. You have a little bit of room. If you could move them back farther away from the sidewalk, raise them up, that would help. I mean, it is very nice, and it does make it look nice, but you got to understand the maintenance point of view when you're out there doing the snow removal, or you're mowing the lawn, or mowing, not the lawn, but mowing the parks and stuff. Because like I said, there's not much room. You get your blade on that Bobcat, you're going down, It may not seem like a lot, but when you have 7, 8 inches of snow or more, it's a lot to move. And you need to put that somewhere. Thanks.
All right, thank
All
you.
right, thanks. So it sounds like we're okay with the two extra arches.
After they kind of figure out what we're gonna do with the two
Right.
arches they got.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
kind of work with all of them at the same time, so we don't have to do one and then do 4 more, so.
If the REC is into sidewalk work, I know we got a project north of town.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
So
Like, we-
if you
go ahead.
want to come up with some options maybe and bring them back to a council workshop, and say, this is what we're thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay prior to you putting in more?
Yes.
Is that
And
okay?
I know we'll be in September. Emily Rush and myself will be in presenting on Light Up the Night like we normally do for it. So
I'd like to thank you for doing all this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Makes you help be more of a member of the community.
yes, and we're hoping that this year's theme is up to everybody's par. So
I'm sure it will be.
I think you should leave the Christmas lights up all year. It makes me happy when I leave work.
Yeah, it's added a lot to Hampton for sure, and we're doing our best to clean the town up, and this is just one more thing that makes the town look nice.
All right, so we'll look for more information and we'll move forward.
sounds good. Thank you.
Sounds
guys.
good, thank you.
Thank you.
On the bench memorial, did you want to talk to that, Jim, or?
Well, we can. Bill, do you want to talk to the,
Yes, I'm not real sure. I didn't know it was even gonna be on until I saw the agenda, so
Well-
what would you like me to say? I didn't.
well, I guess, you know, a grant's been applied for. When do we find out about the grant?
So I don't know how many council members know, I'm trying to work, the design team and myself, we're trying to work to replace the benches in Bench Hill Park. And there was a T-Mobile grant out there that I applied for to replace the benches, and it would be for 36-foot plastic recycled benches that I would be getting a grant for, and I'm supposed to hear sometime in August. That's all that it said. So if that comes through, you know, the city and myself at the chamber, we've gotten requests for memorial benches in town, and there's really not a good place for them. So we were kind of looking at this as potentially being a project for memorial benches as well. If somebody wanted a memorial to a bench that is there, I got a complete program ready, but it just depends on, do we get the grant or did we not get the grant on pricing and all that other stuff. But if we get the grant, there's a discounted price to getting a loved one's name on a bench. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a fund involved in all of this that will go towards the upkeep of Bench Hill Park as well. So a lot of it just kind of depends on what the grant says and how we do things. And then, you know, you can either purchase a bench, you can purchase a picnic table. There's a couple different phases that I'm hoping to accomplish in beautifying Bench Hill Park.
So they will be like movable, like the ones we have now?
No, the benches are I think they're 90 pounds apiece. They're gonna be like, let's see, do we have any, trying to think of a place where there is one.
Iowa Falls gonna make them?
Yes.
Okay.
Some on the
So
walking paths.
Will they
On the
be,
walking paths.
will they be secured to the concrete?
As of right now, that wasn't part of what I did, because I figured at 90 pounds apiece, no one's gonna just walk off with them. But they are, you know, they can be secured pretty easily from the sounds of the things, so.
Have you thought about selling the old ones to make up some of the cost?
That's the city's call. The city owns them, they can do that if they choose to. And then, like I was thinking, if we get a grant and somebody says, hey, that bench has been there a year, I want to buy one brand new, then when they buy that bench and they replace it at Bench Hill Park, then we got a stockpile to start replacing them in some other parks and other benches and parks that need to be replaced. So there's a couple different options for folks.
I think one question too, then, you had mentioned it, that fund. Would that fund be, under the city, or would the chamber be in charge of that?
I personally think that fund should be with the city because it's a city park. The design committee and myself included, as long as I'm around, would be more than happy to help do whatever with it. But it's a city park, so I think those funds need to stay with the city, however we end up doing it, personally.
So we wanted to bring this before the council for their input.
What do the benches look like?
So we haven't ordered them yet,
Yeah.
but if you ever go on the bike paths, it's that kind of a bench. And the ones that I had them quote me were black legs and kind of a charcoal gray colored seat. So then they're 6 foot long. And 30 of them is what the grant was for.
I think it's a great idea.
And then, like I said, there's also, we need to be working on picnic tables in the park as well, so you could also buy a memorial that way. And I got options to have just a little plaque that we can attach to the benches permanently, or if you want one that's engraved, you can buy that and pay those fees as well. But there's a few different options. And I would like to eventually get to a point, and kind of threw this at Doug one day walking by, have a few picnic tables and spots that are on concrete around the park, so we don't have to worry about moving them to mow and damaging them and those kind of things. So that's down the road, obviously, but just part of my bigger picture that's in my head, I guess, that I'd like to see.
Thanks for all your work here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. We have one person right now that's pushing us to get a bench out there for her,
Right.
for his spouse, and I think it's a great way to honor people, especially that were big in our city.
Right.
So what we got at the end of the month? We got
As soon as I hear, I'll ask you to put on an agenda. And
I'll
let
put
you
it on
guys
my
know.
calendar and I'll call you.
Yeah, I'll get on the agenda and I'll tell you what we got or what we didn't get, and then what my next thought is. And I'll present the pricing and all that stuff to you guys at that time as well.
All right,
Okay?
Good. Thanks, Bill.
sounds good, thank you. Moving on. Next item up in this is citizen concern for dog regulations. I'm allowed.
I was going to speak first, and then we'll get.
I didn't know that, so that's good to know.
That's
Mr.
why-
Palmer.
That's why I handed out a sheet. I've just have, over the last, ever since I've been on the city council, whether it was before, whether it was now, I've always had people call me or text me or Facebook me about dog issues. And it used to be, and I know why they do, because it used to be, I remember a dog down the street from me barked and barked, I think, like 72 hours straight. Anyway, I finally got fed up. I called the PD. I said, there's a barking dog at so-and-so address. Can you talk to the owners or whatever? And the officer at the time, it was under a different regime, the officer at the time knocked on the door. Palmer says your dog's barking, knock it off. So anyway, when you have that kind of situation, who's going to call the police department and say, my dog's barking? Next thing you know, my house gets egged or whatever, that could have happened. They didn't, luckily, but we need to get that trust back, and then we've got it back for the most part. But I can also see why people text me about it, and then I text the chief or I call the PD and say, hey, we got a problem, and this is going on. It's too bad Katie left, because she's complained to me 4 or 5 times that there's a dog in her neighborhood chases her down the street because they can't keep it on a leash. They can't hook it to a leash in the yard. These dogs are running crazy around town, and I'm beginning to think this may be an owner issue. I don't think there's a dog out there, and you have some vicious ones, but the majority of the complaints I get are owner issues of responsibility. No dogs on leashes. these dogs that bark constantly. I get complaints about owners walking dogs without cleaning up after them. I've had to embarrass one person pretty bad. My neighbor-in-law down the street said somebody let their dog walk in my yard and go to the bathroom in my yard. And she says, I've got it on my video camera. Send me the camera, send me the recording. So I put it on a loop of this dog and owner walking up, doing its business and walking away. And so I scrolled that so it would go 10 times in a row, and I put it on my Facebook page. Half hour later, neighbor-in-law calls back, says, you can take that down now. The guy who was walking his dog found out who it was, and he made his wife come and clean it up. So he got that taken care of. So thought it was big of him to make his wife go clean it up. But if I remind people every time I see a dog walking by my house, you got a baggie with that dog? Because I'm tired of Jamie Fink's old property being used as a restroom for dogs. That's not what it's there for. And people just need to clean up after their dogs if they're walking them. That's a big complaint I hear about the walking path. There's dog crap all over the place in those walking paths because people are too dumb not to carry a baggie. Dogs left outside with no water, no shade. I'm tired of hearing about those. That is an owner issue. That's not a dog issue. Inhumane treatment of dogs. I get calls about that once in a while. Vicious dogs, we're going to be redoing our vicious dog ordinance a little bit. We're going to talk about that down the road. But it has more teeth in it, you might say, because it's going to be dealt with at a police level before it comes before the council, so stuff gets taken care of right away. I would like to see if we take a dog in and has to be held for a certain amount of days on a vicious dog type of thing, I'd like to see that dog chipped, because 9 times out of 10, that dog may come back to town. Oh, that's not that dog, it's that dog's cousin. Well, if you had a chip in it, you'd know if that was that dog or not. And we need to get serious on that. I know there for a while, I think we had somebody who was raising dogs. I don't really think it was a puppy mill situation, but it was close to being a puppy mill situation. And I got some calls on that. I'm tired of seeing dogs in hot cars downtown. I don't know why people just don't leave their damn dogs home. Dogs in eating establishments. I've printed out this service dogs, emotional support dogs, and therapy dogs. I know people go on Amazon and buy dog harnesses for their dog that say service dog on them. And I mean, that just really just throws in the face of people who really do need the dogs as service dogs. Just because you can't leave Sparky at home and go eat at 7 Stars, it's ridiculous. And other concerns. Now, I'd like to open it up for concerns. If anybody in the crowd has a concern, come up to the podium. Let's get it out in the open.
Weren't we gonna use funds from the dog park for the bags along the trail?
Yeah, we had some money raised from the dog park, and also these, I didn't include on the sheet. I called the vet center today to get a dog vaccinated. It's a $25 office visit, and plus, I said plug, but plus $28 for the vaccine. I mean, if you're not taking the dog to the vet once a year, you're not much of a dog owner. I mean, and our licenses are due once a year on the anniversary of the date of the license. So May 1st to May 1st, something like that. $5 for a dog that's fixed, $8 if it's not. So right now in Hampton, we have 58 dog licenses issued. I could walk down our street and count 58 dogs. I mean, it's ridiculous.
If you're gonna start chipping dogs, I think we ought to chip cats.
Could be.
We've got at least 100 feral cats in town.
Yeah, and one guy's got 60 in his house.
60?
Yeah, and we're working on that. So, but today's issue is dogs, so we're going to talk dogs. And so anyway, go ahead, state your name and
My name's Denise Ditch, and I have a concern, actually about a lot of dogs that are in Hampton, but I'm wondering what is the rule for if you see a dog and you call it in because you don't think it doesn't have enough shade or it doesn't have water, what actually can the police do?
Chief?
Can't hear me.
All right.
So a lot of times when we get a complaint, we will send an officer out to go check it. They will refer to the code that we have in the code book, and they will check to see if it meets those requirements. I will tell you that the requirements are pretty vague in a lot of those circumstances. And then if it comes down to an animal welfare, we do contact the vet center, we take pictures of the dog. Sometimes we have him come out and look, but that's kind of the process that we use to determine. Sometimes people say it's too skinny, and then he'll decide whether it's that breed, if that's normal, if there's a health problem. There's all kinds of things that go into that.
Okay.
Because I know that Iowa has changed some of their laws to make it, that you have to take better care of your dog. There are some more updated things, and I don't know if you guys keep track of that or not.
I don't know, I just know what the city code is currently. I have not researched what upcoming laws.
Okay, you might want to, because they have changed it more
Yes, I
to
have
help.
heard about the grooming that.
Yep. And then, yeah, I mean, I did call, like if you go and you see a dog that's not, you know, you can just tell by looking at them, they're not taken care of. Like there's one in town here, I know it's been addressed already, but it's like, they're stuck in a kennel, homemade kennel, 2 of them, and they're huskies, you know, so they got a ton of hair. And I can't tell if they have water or not, because I don't want to go on their property to, you know, get in trouble that way, but they never get to leave the kennel, 24/7, and they're also on a chain hooked up here on a pole besides being in a kennel. I mean, to me, that's inhumane. That is not acceptable to me. I don't know what you can do about it, but there are just a lot of dogs in Hampton in that same situation, and I don't know, maybe this is dumb, but is there any chance that we can change our codes in Hampton for that?
We can turn, we can start up a tethering law for dogs, and it makes it illegal for them to do it. But then we have to have good backup with police to go in.
'Cause, yeah,
And
it just,
some of the cities in Iowa have the tethering law.
yeah, I guess I did know that, there are some, and I didn't know if we can, you know, if that's something that we can do
Well,
or not.
I tell you, what we're doing is, we want to get these ideas, end of September, I think, as we have our League of Cities, where all the city councils and the state get together, and we can compare notes on, hey, you know, what's your dog situation like, and what's your laws like, and what are we doing here? And we network quite a bit with these, and that's kind of why we're doing a lot of these housing cleanups, is because we're networking with other towns that says, how do you clean up a blight property, and we're doing that. So I don't see a difference of that, and comparing notes on what your dog policies are, and strengthening up or beefing up or something like that.
Because to me, it's like, you know, animals have no voice.
Right.
So I have to be one whether people like it or not. They deserve better.
Right.
If you're gonna, I mean, why do you want a dog if you're gonna leave it chained up and in a thing 24/7? And I know this to be true because I've talked to the neighbors that live there, neighbors that live in that little neighborhood. They say they never get out of there.
And I don't,
Can you have her approach?
I don't know. Do you want to see a picture of it?
She needs to approach the podium if she wants to talk.
I go there like once a week and take
Sure.
pictures.
and they live right north of me, and I, honest to goodness, I never hear them bark.
No, I don't think they bark anymore. They're defeated. They just,
Right.
they're so
Right.
lonely, I think, that they don't even care if they're alive anymore, and that's just,
Right.
Right, and it,
me
and
mad.
just really quick on that, you know, we've got some ordinances in place for animal neglect and stuff like that. So if we start changing the ordinance, of course, we gotta make sure what we want in there. And then we also gotta look at, everybody's perception of how they take care of a dog is different.
yeah.
So.
But there
so
still should be some
however-
guidelines.
So whatever you think, you know, the way a dog should be taken care of, maybe not be that this guy wants to, but he's still taking care of him, he's feeding him, he's, you know, he's
That's
doing
not
what he has
really
to
taking
do.
care of 'em.
His welfare is fine, but, so it's, so it gets, we need
But if,
to.
can I bring this up?
Yeah, sure, you bet. We'll just pass it around.
If you just go like this, you know, this is from the road, so that you can, you know, make them a little bigger if you want, but there's that many.
Right, let's-
That's the cage.
Yeah.
But besides being in that cage, they're also chained on a chain.
How many dogs did they have in there?
2.
Okay.
You're popular. You're getting a lot of texts right now.
Yeah, well, I had my phone off.
Oh.
And I know they
And that's just north of me, and, again, I don't hear him bark, so I just don't hear him. I didn't know there was a problem, because I never walk on that bridge.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I happened to see it because I rode my bike by it one day,
Yeah,
and I'm
okay.
looking, I'm like, oh my God.
yeah, we put in that brand-new sidewalk the city built.
Yeah, and then, you know, if you look from the west, you know, they
Couch
have
there.
no, when the sun comes over on the west, it's so hot in summer, there is no shade for them for that.
Gotta get it back where it is
Yeah,
technically challenged.
yeah, maybe it doesn't get as hot because there might be
Denise,
branches and stuff.
do you want to tell us what your password is? Because your phone screen
Phone
went
lights up.
blank. No, I'm kidding,
I'm done.
but it did go blank.
The dogs I saw were laying on a couch and they
Oh,
looked
yeah,
pretty
but
darn
those-
comfortable. That's all I know.
Oh, they're laying on the sofa. They look good to me.
So I'm like, well,
That's
I'm
how every dog should,
end the discussion.
that's how every dog should live, in my opinion.
I agree.
Which there's like 4 or 5, something like that. And you might have to make them bigger to actually see, but it's just.
Yeah, did you see?
In this town, branches.
And then that's why I wanted to have a discussion about this, because it's been past time, years past
Yeah,
time.
oh yeah, and there's lots of people in this town upset about that. And they say they don't call because nothing gets done.
Well, it's,
So that's why I'm here.
yeah, and this is the starting step.
So just feeding them and watering them is good enough?
Well, they look at how the dog, I mean, they don't just go look and say, hey, yeah, they got food and water, they're good. You know, they look at are they malnourished, you know, are they being
These two
fed,
have
are
so much
this?
hair, I don't know if you'd be able to tell that or not, you know.
That what?
These 2 dogs have so much hair, I don't know if you'd be able to tell
Right.
if they're malnourished or not.
Right.
Because I can't get close enough, I don't want to
And-
But we know we did have an officer go out and check them, so, and he reported back that he didn't see an issue with them. It's just a different way of why they're being, how they've been taken care of. And again, that goes back to your version versus somebody else's visions and go back.
So can we get concerned people in our town that care about this? Can we go knock on the door and ask them why they don't ever get the dogs out or anything
Sure.
like that?
Sure.
We won't get in trouble for that.
You have to talk to Mark Morrison about that.
Yeah. Just go to your door, you know, do you want?
Yeah, you have to be nice about it.
We went and asked for money. Remember
Yeah.
the lab? That's how we got that dog.
Mhm. So, yeah, we do what we can to help in situations when, you know, evidently you guys can't.
Yeah. I think the issue is they don't get the love and attention that you're looking for them to have.
I mean, they don't
Yeah.
expect them to have a ton,
Set up,
you know, like in the
if you're gonna
house.
speak, set up towards the microphone,
Yep.
because nobody can hear you, nobody can hear
Yeah.
you online, so.
Yeah, I think the main issue is they're not getting the attention and love that they would like them to see. And if it was my dog, I wouldn't.
Right.
I don't have a dog because I don't have the time to take care of them. But
Yeah.
that is where I think they're going with this. But the people are maintaining them in a minimum fashion that is probably not acceptable to you, but is acceptable to them and meets the criteria of the city ordinance.
So I think the criteria needs to be changed.
Ma'am, if you have to
Sally,
speak, we need to have you
you gotta
stand
go
up
to the
against
microphone.
stand up to the microphone.
Sally, you need to go to the microphone if you want to talk.
We can't hear. Well, we
We're
can,
both
but-
getting in trouble for it, so you just gotta get up here and talk.
The issue is that we're streaming on YouTube, and the people at home who are watching on YouTube, if people speak from the audience, they can't
Right.
hear what you're saying, and we want everybody to be heard, to whoever's watching. So please step up to the podium if you want to say something.
And I think as the,
Share these pictures once a week on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
Every week I'm putting this picture on there again.
perfect.
Though they can hate me and I don't care.
I think as far as the police department, we're continually trying to update and improve the ordinances that we have.
If we, hold on, Mark, Chief Morrison's speaking, could we just, please?
Chief, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just advising that the police department is continuing to try to revise, along with the city council, The ordinances that we do have, we have acknowledged that some ordinances need some improvement, especially in the area of the vicious dog. We saw that was a problem. We've tried to make those changes, and they're still kind of in the process. Unfortunately, it wasn't soon enough for some, but we are trying to get these done. So we do appreciate feedback. We do look into these things. We do try to take them very seriously, and we go from there. I've made lots of notes already for tonight.
Good.
So.
And again, going to the League of Cities where there's other communities, other towns, I'm a bit standoffish with the Hampton City Council because when I go to lunch, I sit with somebody who I don't know, and then I bounce ideas off them. So they always say, Pat's so standoffish and rude, he doesn't eat with us. Yeah, I eat with somebody else to get their ideas of what's new in their town. And so I was just got to do, yeah, you do. Anyway, but getting ideas from other towns on these dog rules, it may not be significant to some, but it is to others. And so just need to get everybody on the same, like I said, I think these are dog issues, owner issues, and not so much dog issues.
So like when they're tethered like that for 24/7, can't they get a ticket or something?
There's no applicable
Not by-
law for it being tethered 24/7. I mean, I don't like that. I wouldn't
But,
keep my dogs like
so
that.
Hampton can't change that?
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's what we're getting
That's what I was
at.
wondering. I didn't know if we could actually change an ordinance in our town that has to do with that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can't tonight, but we're
Yeah,
gonna.
I understand that.
Yeah.
It's gonna take time.
This is why we want to have, Sally brought it up, and you guys brought it up. We need
I
to take,
mean, okay, I understand some dogs do like to be outside. I understand that. But 24/7 and they never get to get out and run around a little bit, that's just not
Right.
humane, even for an animal.
right.
We wouldn't chain us up in a room, would we, like that?
Right.
So,
But some people, that means having a dog. Some people put them on a stake, they're out all day,
Yeah.
they got food, they got water, they run back, and
Lots of
they're
them,
happy,
there are
they're happy as a
plenty of
lark,
them
they're
here in
just running
town
back
that-
and forth.
yeah, they don't even have shade,
Right,
and then
So-
so then even if their
so-
water's out there, it's hot, and then when that water gets a certain temperature, dogs won't even drink it.
Right.
yeah,
So then that's, bad too.
yeah. So there's a lot of stuff has to come into it, as far as ordinances that covers as
So then
much
I
as we
guess I
can.
Do you have like, I don't know if you can print it in the paper or whatever that tells what the rules are for people that have dogs like that?
Yeah, we can try to come up with something. I think you've been doing the thing in the paper.
Code
already.
of column.
We can come up with.
Yeah, maybe if people see that more, they would
Right.
listen a little better, I don't know.
And I mean, with only 58 licenses in Hampton, I guess to me, people say to me, well, what's the purpose of a license? What does that money go for? And I guess I don't know. It's administrative costs to track down if their rabies are up to date, I guess, is a little bit of that.
Money goes in the general fund,
Right,
and it
right.
just covers administrative costs of processing. I mean, it takes time for someone to fill out the form and administer it, so.
Yeah. So, but there's, how many, Denise, how many dogs do you think there in town, or Michelle?
That are not taken care of?
No, just dogs in town.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Hundreds, I'm guessing, wouldn't you say?
That what?
Hundreds.
Oh, yeah.
More than 58?
Yep.
Then we got a problem. Anybody else have now's your time. Ruth?
Hi, I'm Ruth Tapp, and I'm an avid walker. So I'm through downtown area, walking path, out by Olive Avenue, down by Herman's Park. And from April to June 30th, I had 5 dogs that came after me and my dog. My dog, Archie, is licensed through the city. I take a lot of pride in taking care of him and being his advocate. And 2 of them, a patrolman on Highway 65, literally pulled off on the highway to help me get a Chihuahua and another mix, had a collar, no leash, off my dog. And he asked me, did it bite you or, hurt you or anything? I said, no, I just couldn't get him off my dog. He's just humping the hell out of my dog, And one was a gal. It was an innocent situation. She came back from vacation, and her person that took care of her lawn undid her gate to get the mower into the penned-up area for the dog, forgot to latch it. So I'm walking, and it was a shepherd, and they're herding dogs. And so I am beating it with my sack, and the gentleman from the landscaping place, the north landscaping place, him and two of his workers came out and helped me get that dog off of me and get the bag out of his mouth and that kind of thing. There definitely is a problem in town. I think there are some owners of animals that take very good care of their animals. But we, you know, what I see is the dog poo everywhere. I mean, it is just everywhere. You have dogs with no collar and no leash. And just because I think my dog behaves and is going to stay in my yard at my command, we do not know how our animals are going to act, or our dogs are going to act with a distraction. And so it is my responsibility, and I've learned through training, my dog in my yard to potty, no matter what, has a collar and a leash on. Because I don't know what's coming around the corner. I don't know if a child, I don't know if it's going to get alarmed, if it's going to get scared, if it's going to get spooked. So it is, like Pat said, it is an owner's issue, I feel. I've had, you know, and I don't want to stereotype animals, but on one of my walkways, it was kind of cute. I seen a fence, and I thought, oh, they must have a dog. And it come to my waist, and I'm short. So all of a sudden, this dog lopped over half of the fence, and it was a Great Dane. They're not little, you know. So he was friendly. He didn't do anything. He didn't bark. I was walking by myself. But I thought, boy, he'd just kick them hind legs, and he'd be up and over that fence. You know, so we definitely do have an issue with the responsibility of our animals.
Right.
Our dogs.
Thank you, Ruth.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Okay, I appreciate the conversation, appreciate the time.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Torson. Morrison. I got it. All right. Next item up, we need to review a resolution establishing a housing steering committee. Mr. Dunt.
Thank you. We are applying for a Rural Iowa Housing Readiness Assessment Grant. And as part of that application, they require that the community have a housing steering committee in place. So I'm suggesting we establish a housing steering committee by resolution. I have a sample resolution in front of you that could go on for Thursday. And also, so this is a grant that allows us to use funds for housing initiatives. But part of the grant is to cover an ISU extension workshop. The employees of this ISU work with the community and the steering committee. This goes through months. This is like a 1.5 year long process. If we're awarded this grant, it's a $10,000 local match. The grant is $20,000, so you essentially get $10,000 from them. ISU does get paid for their services to work with the city, so we would have to commit $10,000 of local funds to apply for this grant. So this resolution does two things: establishes a housing steering committee, as well as commits the $10,000. And this is due August 30th, the grant application, and I think early October, they announce recipients. Any questions? If the council is okay with this, we'll put it on for Thursday. for consideration. Okay,
We're good.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Last item, or one item, no, not next, not done, sorry. Next item is September meeting schedule, NACES ordinance. I'm gonna let you run through that.
Yes, so our meeting schedule is changing somewhat. Labor Day is on Monday, September 2nd. Typically, the workshop would be on September 9th, a Monday, with the council meeting on the 12th, and then workshop on the 23rd and the 26th. I'm proposing to hold the regular session on the 5th of September instead of the 12th, and then we would have no workshop on the 9th and no meeting on the 12th. I'm going to be out of state, so I'm proposing this schedule as opposed to just canceling that first meeting. We do need to have that first meeting of the month, so if there's any comments, concerns, discussion?
I'm fine with it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, we're on
We'll
this
put
end.
this on the next
I'll
consent
check my
agenda.
schedule, but I'm sure I'm okay.
See if you can get in. All right,
Walking my dog.
thank you. All right, and at this point, we will be moving into a closed session for the remainder of the meeting, so that we will have to evacuate the meeting. We appreciate y'all you coming. Good crowd, and we will hope to see you on another meeting.
Okay, so when
Yeah, you guys get out of here.
when everybody gets back, we'll get a motion and a second and a roll call vote to go into closed session.
Can I just say something real quick? I know there's two councilmen not in here, but my husband Brian's retiring Friday after 45 years working for the city. We're having a retirement party at our house, so you guys are invited. If you'd like to come, there's food and everything.
When is it again, Marlene?
Saturday. This Saturday, the 24th.
Yeah, thanks, Marlene.
And that. So, but you guys are all invited. It's council people are
Right.
coming. I mean, you can come if you want to. If you don't, that's fine.
Okay.
And that, but go before you eat, and it's a dry bar. We're not having no alcohol, sorry.
Well, I'm not coming now.
That later on.
I was gonna come.
Let's talk tomorrow, because we're applying for other things.
That's what I was
for
gonna
them,
ask.
so maybe talk to Doug tomorrow. Thank you, Bill.
You got Kleenex.
Yeah.
What are you doing over there?
Well, I had a small stab there.
Yep, we got it.
and
Got
All right,
yourself.
appreciate that, thank you.
Lord.
Me behind the microphone, if you're talking, sit.
Okay, we're still on YouTube probably, so let's just,
nurse.
as soon as Kevin gets back, we need a motion
Assassination
and a
attempt?
second, so.
Yep.
Well, I pitched that
Mark.
cat, boy, that son of a bitch really bled.
I don't know what you want to ask, but
You want blood
discretion.
thinners?
Huh?
You want blood thinners?
Huh?
Mark is gonna be sitting in us.
Never have been,
For
Gary.
part of it.
After the
Yeah.
triple bypass,
Not all
everything
of it.
I'm on is 2 blood pressure pills.
Okay,
Very
All right.
low and
Should we,
it's okay to do the motion in a second.
Oh, okay.
I move we go into closed
All right,
session.
we've got a
Get
motion.
outta here.
We have a motion by Mr. Davies to move into closed session. A motion, or a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Palmer. This will be a roll call vote. Mr.
I
Bill Hodge, Ms. Jane Griefy,
Aye.
Mr. Palmer,
Aye.
Mr. Blamos,
Aye.
Mr. Blanford,
Aye.
and Mr. Davies.
Aye.
All right, so we are now in closed session.
Okay, now we need to pause and we need to lock the door, get YouTube and everything shut down.
shut her down. Well, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.